Snark Squad. Babes, we are a little late. We know. Please forgive us. But babes, we are here. The Moscato.
Delicious.
And we're feeling every sip.
Truly. It is like hitting the bloodstream in the absolute best way possible right now.
Oh my God, yes. We took Saturday off from the podcast to rest, to reset. Because babes this week is packed.
So packed, like dangerously packed.
Right. And honestly, self-care matters. So if you can take some time for yourself, too.
You absolutely have to. I mean, we took Saturday off strictly because watching a grown man use his literal fourth cousin as a midlife crisis life raft requires, immense unparalleled mental fortitude.
I am screaming.
If we didn't take 24 hours to just stare at a blank wall, hydrate, and dissociate from reality, we wouldn't have the psychological endurance to sit here tonight and break down this absolute circus.
An entire circus. The clowns are out, the tent is actively on fire, and literally nobody is calling 911.
Not a single soul.
But wait, before we even get into the television screen and all that specific madness, we need to talk about you guys.
Yes.
Because, babes, you have been blowing up our DMs.
Endlessly.
Shady, snarky, stupid. We love you.
Opening our inbox is like opening a sociological study on modern chaos. I mean, it is endless screenshots of your messy group chats, your terrible dating app interactions, and your, frankly, deeply questionable life choices.
So questionable. So for anyone new sitting here with us tonight, let's explain the segment. Listeners send in real-life messy situations, and we decide, was it shady, snarky, or just stupid?
And we judge you.
Yeah.
Lovingly, but we judge.
Oh, heavily judge. I live for this. The Moscato is poured, the twinkle lights are on, and I am emotionally available for the mess. Okay, let me pull up the first one. I'm already getting a stress rash just looking at the preview text.
Oh boy, read it.
Okay, submission 1. This is messy relationship chaos. Quote, my partner and I have been going through it. We fought so much that he actually moved out and got his own apartment across town. We barely speak, and when we do, it's hostile. But last night, he came over, completely broke down, and told me that the only way to save our relationship and bridge the gap is if we stop using protection and have a baby.
Wow.
Wait, it gets worse. Quote, he says a baby will force us to be a real family again. What do I do? End quote.
What do? You change your locks, you block his number across all platforms, and you alert your local authorities. That is exactly what you do.
I am viscerally horrified. I am physically rejecting this entire concept.
By hazard of a relationship.
Literally, you live in different zip codes. You can't even communicate about basic logistics without it turning into World War III. And this man wants to bring a whole innocent, breathing human infant into this toxic wasteland to be a tiny, helpless little Band-Aid.
Let's break down the manipulation tactics occurring here, because this is textbook, absolute textbook.
Break it down, please, because my brain is melting.
Right, so he moves out, he establishes physical distance and independence, which, in a failing dynamic, is a massive power move. He controls the access. Then, when he realizes you are actually surviving without him, that the control is slipping and you aren't, begging him to come back, he introduces the most permanent, life-altering anger imaginable.
Oh my God.
A baby isn't a bridge, it's a hostage situation.
Wait, okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second, because I hear hostage situation and my heart completely stops.
I mean, I call it like I see it.
But couldn't this just be genuine panic? Is he maliciously trying to trap her? Or is he just a profoundly broken man who is terrified of being alone and is reaching for the most dramatic lifeline he can think of?
I mean, that is a very empathetic reading, but let's analyze the mechanics of his proposal.
Yeah.
If he were just panicked and wanted to fix things, he would suggest couples counseling. He would suggest dedicated date nights. He would suggest moving back in together on a trial basis. Instead, he bypasses all the actual work required to repair a foundation and jumps straight to an irrevocable biological tie.
Which is insane.
Exactly. A baby doesn't fix a communication deficit. He knows a child forces you to remain tethered to him for the next 18 years minimum. It's an act of containment masquerading as romance.
Wow. Containment masquerading as romance. That is so dark, but you are so right. Because think about the reality of it. A baby does not fix a relationship.
Never.
A baby is the ultimate stress test on a relationship. If your foundation is already crumbling, a newborn with colic screaming at 3 in the morning is going to turn your separate apartments into a true crime documentary.
It's a literal nightmare scenario.
Listener, please listen to me. Do not let this man impregnate you with his insecurities. Just don't do it.
Precisely. The logic is a catastrophic failure of critical thinking. It's like saying, my house is actively burning to the ground, so I'm going to install a very expensive chandelier in the living room to see if it puts the fire out.
Yes, Oh my God, yes.
It doesn't solve the structural issue. It just gives you something fragile to worry about while everything burns down around you. So the
Well,
verdict,
I mean,
it's not shady, it's not snarky, it is categorically, dangerously stupid.
stupid, capital letters. In red ink, please run. Okay, I have to take a sip of wine. Transitioning to submission 2.
Hit me.
This is friendship betrayal with a twist. Quote, I caught my best friend's boyfriend sliding into my DMs. He was being super flirty, sending heart eyes, the whole thing. Instead of going to my best friend privately to tell her, I was so mad that I took screenshots and dropped them directly into our massive 15-person friend group chat and tagged him.
Oh, no.
Quote, now my best friend is furious with me for embarrassing her publicly instead of being mad at him. Did I do the wrong thing? End quote.
The chaotic delivery method. A truly fascinating tactical choice.
I'm screaming. How could you do that? Where is the loyalty?
I mean, the loyalty was secondary to the drama, clearly.
That is your best friend. If her man is being a dog, you pull her aside, you pour her a massive glass of wine, you hold her hand, and you gently show her the evidence so she can process the heartbreak with some dignity.
In a rational world, yes.
You do not turn her humiliation into a spectator sport for 15 other people on a Tuesday afternoon.
You're entirely right on the emotional front. But let's look at the mechanics of the mess, because I actually understand the impulse.
Wait, you agree with her?
I didn't say I agreed, I said I understand the impulse. By dropping it in the group chat, our listener here guaranteed that the boyfriend couldn't spin the narrative.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right. He couldn't gaslight the best friend in private and say, oh, she misunderstood my DM, she's crazy, she's trying to ruin us. The evidence was peer-reviewed by 14 other people instantly. It's a tactical nuclear strike.
But at what cost?
Exactly. It completely disregards the collateral damage, which is the best friend's pride. You employed what we call performative accountability.
Okay, wait, pause. Explain performative accountability to the audience, because that sounds like a therapy word that people misuse on TikTok. What does it actually mean in this context?
It is misused a lot, but here's the reality. Performative accountability is when you call someone out for their bad behavior, not to actually solve the problem or help the victim, but to demonstrate your own moral superiority to an audience.
Oh, wow.
Our listener didn't drop those screenshots to save her best friend. She dropped them, so the other 14 people on the chat would say, wow, you are such a loyal friend for exposing him. You are the hero of the group.
You made her tragedy about your righteous anger.
Precisely.
Oh my gosh, yes. You wanted the applause. You wanted the drama. You completely sacrificed her dignity so you could be the main character of the friend group for the week. It is so messy.
It is so messy.
Listener, you made a catastrophic error in judgment here. You were right about the man, but you were dead wrong about the method.
You weaponized the truth, and unfortunately, when you weaponize the truth like that, the blast radius always takes out the people closest to you.
It always does. So what's the verdict on this one?
It is shady. You are a shady best friend.
You are a shady best friend. You need to grovel. You need to apologize to her for the public execution, even though you were right to expose the crime.
Agreed. Shady execution of a righteous truth. Let's hit the last one before we need a refill on this Moscato, because my glass is looking sad.
I got you. Let me pour. Okay. Submission 3. This is a fully unhinged life decision. Quote, I was scrolling Instagram late at night after a few drinks. My cousin, yes, my literal cousin, posted a major thirst trap from his gym session. Without thinking, I dropped the licky tongue emoji and a string of heart eyes in the comments.
Oh my God.
Quote, he saw it, screenshotted it, and sent it to our entire extended family. Now I am the outcast at Thanksgiving. I tried to say my thumb slipped. Nobody believes me. End quote.
I am doing the genetic math in my head right now, and the numbers are coming back absolutely terrifying.
But I'm gagging. I am literally physically unwell reading this.
As you should be.
A licky tongue emoji on your own blood relative's sweaty gym picture. What is going on in your brain?
It's the, quote, my thumb slipped defense that really solidifies the delusion for me.
It's so embarrassing.
I mean, we will definitely be revisiting the anatomy of the emoji keyboard later tonight because this perfectly mirrors our television recap. But let's just state for the record right now. You do not accidentally navigate to this specific subsection of emojis locate the face with the tongue hanging out, and accidentally hit send.
No.
That is a targeted, premeditated digital action.
Claiming you fat-fingered the licky tongue emoji is like walking into a bakery, eating an entire 3-tiered wedding cake with your bare hands, and telling the baker you just tripped on the tile and fell face-first with your mouth open.
That is a very specific yet incredibly accurate analogy.
It requires sustained sequential intent. You cannot look at your cousin's bicep and publicly declare that you want to taste it.
You are rightfully the outcast at Thanksgiving. In fact, you should probably just skip Christmas, Easter, and any family reunions for the next decade. Go into witness protection.
Just seriously.
The fact that the cousin screenshotted it and sent it to the family is equally chaotic, but we can't even blame him. You handed him a loaded weapon.
I mean, you kind of have to expose that level of freakiness. Verdict.
Fully unhinged and stupid.
Unhinged. Honestly, it's a hybrid of both.
Profoundly stupid. Keep sending them in, you guys. We are obsessed. Your lives make reality television look tame.
They really do. You are out here living in the trenches. Okay, before we dive into the actual reality TV mess babes, Apple turnovers on deck.
Oh, yes, please.
And they are fucking amazing. Shout out to Allison, producer queen. We owe you everything.
Hand me one of those. I genuinely need the carbohydrates to process the cousin emoji situation we just read.
I am literally chewing this mid-sentence, and I do not care. The warmth.
Oh, wow. The flaky crust, the icing.
Fucking amazing.
Allison, you are a saint. You are literally saving lives in this studio right now.
Stop talking. I need another bite before I can even formulate a thought. This is the best thing I have ever put in my mouth.
Consuming a pastry mid-sentence is exactly the level of professionalism we strive for on a Sunday night. But seriously, the cinnamon to apple ratio here is structurally flawless.
Okay, let me wipe the icing off my face. Let me pour another heavy splash of this Moscato. Because, babes, I am exhausted.
Same.
I am exhilarated. I am emotionally drained. This week's television, Season 11, Episode 5. Kissing cousins. I need to scream into a pillow.
The title alone was a biohazard warning label that we all willfully ignored.
It was, and it perfectly, seamlessly aligns with that last DM submission. It's like the universe planned it for us. Because the crime of the century on our screens this week was Latricia leaving a tasty emoji, the tongue licking the lips.
And hard eyes. Don't forget the hard eyes.
And hard eyes on Lance's Instagram post.
Let's lay out the facts for the jury so we can understand the absolute absurdity of this. Lance posts the photo. Trish, who is Lance's cousin, and I know they spent half the episode debating the fourth cousin technicality, but blood is blood and ancestor is an ancestor. She drops the pasty emoji, the lips licking.
It makes my skin crawl, but what sends me into orbit is her defense.
Oh, the defense is the best part.
She sat there on national television with a straight face and claimed she fat-fingered it. She said she meant to just send a regular smiley face. Who does she think she is fooling?
Let's break down the mechanical impossibility of the fat finger lie for anyone who has never operated a smartphone. First, you have to open the comment section.
Right.
Second, you have to manually switch to the emoji keyboard. Third, the frequently used emojis populate.
Right.
Now, if the licky tongue is in your frequently used, that already tells a very specific story about your digital footprint.
Exactly. It exposes you immediately. You are a menace online.
But let's assume it's not in her frequently used. You then have to swipe past the standard smiles, bypass the laughing, crying faces, navigate deep into the emotive face territory, and strike that specific, highly suggestive icon.
It's basically a marathon.
Then you have to hit send. A fat finger implies geographical proximity. It implies you meant to hit the letter A and you hit S. The licky tongue is not geographically adjacent to anything innocent. It is surrounded by other chaotic emojis.
Thank you. It is not next to the thumbs up. It is deliberate. And speaking of deliberate, let's analyze Lance's reaction to all of this.
Yes, let's.
Because Lance is out here playing the victim, acting like he was just so disturbed by it. But what does he do? Does he text his cousin privately and say, hey, Trish, that's wildly inappropriate. Please delete that before my mom sees it?
Of course not. That would be mature.
No. He takes a screenshot, he sends it to a group chat with Destiny, and then the absolute peak of messiness, he sends it to Trish's husband, Ken.
And his defense for doing that is equally transparent. He claims bro code. He literally sits in his confessional and says he and Ken are friends, They are close, and he didn't want Ken to have any misconceptions about the situation. He claims he wanted to get ahead of the narrative before someone else saw it and twisted it.
Bro code. Are we entirely serious right now? You don't invoke bro code over a blood relative.
It's a massive overstep.
You invoke family code. You call your auntie. You call the matriarch of the family and say, your daughter is acting up on the internet. You don't send it directly to the woman's husband to detonate a massive marital war.
It's what we refer to as weaponized transparency.
There's that word again.
He used the objective truth, the screenshot, to create maximum chaos. Why? Because Lance loved the attention. He loved the ego boost that this woman was publicly thirsting over him, and he wanted everyone in their social circle to see it under the guise of him being an honorable friend to Ken.
Yes, he wanted the validation. He wanted Ken to know that Ken's wife finds him attractive. It is so deeply talked.
And the fact that they sat around a table discussing if a fourth cousin actually counts. Lance literally said in his confessional, "I guess people like what they like and do what they please."
Sir, that is your lineage. You share a family tree. The roots are the exact same.
It is a complete abdication of moral boundaries. But honestly, this entire situation is just a symptom of a much larger disease, which is Lance's absolute refusal to live in reality right now.
Which is the perfect pivot because we need to talk about his face.
Oh, the face.
The visuals of Lance showing up to that venue walkthrough with a bruised, battered, scraped-up face. I gasped.
Was startling.
He looked like a teenager who face-planted off a skateboard in a 7-Eleven parking lot, not a grown man who owns property and has children.
The visual disconnect was jarring. And his excuse, he claims he was horseplaying with his buddies and he just happened to forget to eat that day. Got a little dizzy and fell face first into concrete.
Forgot to eat. Have you ever in your life heard a more universally recognized cover story for being absolutely blackout inebriated?
Never. If you are an adult man in your late 30s or 40s, and you are horseplaying with other adult men so aggressively that you sustain blunt force facial trauma, you urgently need to reevaluate your peer group, your hobbies, and your relationship with gravity.
Relationship with gravity, I am dead.
But the missing meal excuse is an insult to the viewer's intelligence.
Well, Nell didn't buy a single syllable of it, and this is why I love Nell. The reality check she delivered in that moment was phenomenal.
It was a masterclass in parenting an adult child.
She didn't coddle him. She looked him dead in his bruised eye and said, "Take your ass inside. Come from outside. Go inside."
She did.
She reminded him that he has small children at home, a beautiful house, and he needs to get out of the streets and stop pretending he is 22 years old.
Nell was operating as the moral compass of the entire state of Alabama in that moment. She wasn't just scolding him. She was desperately trying to save him from himself. She sees the trajectory he is on.
She totally sees it.
But what is truly terrifying is Lance's reaction to her concern. In his confessional, he deflects it completely. He says, "I understand she's a concerned mother, but that's just her opinion, and I'm going to move the way that works for me."
It's the arrogance. The absolute blinding arrogance of a man plummeting down a midlife spiral. I really look at him and question if his entire lifestyle right now is just a massive, unaddressed crisis.
Oh, it absolutely is.
He's trying so hard to hold on to his youth by being outside, by partying with his boys, but he's just looking foolish. He looks tired.
It's the classic old Lance versus new Lance dynamic that the rest of the cast keeps bringing up. He wants to radically rebrand himself as this carefree, eligible bachelor about town.
Which is not working.
He wants the aesthetic of freedom without the reality of his responsibilities, which explains the absolute romantic chaos at his casino-themed birthday party.
Oh my God, the Lucky-themed party. The black, white, and green dress code, the mob vibes. It was so much.
It was a lot to look at.
And Kiara showing up, fully expecting to be the main event, the woman on his arm, only to find out Lance doesn't even comprehend the basic definition of the word exclusive.
That argument was a master class in semantic manipulation.
Yeah.
Let's really look at what happened.
Please, because I was losing my mind.
Kiara confronts him. She says, "Very clearly, we agreed to be exclusive. So why am I finding out you're entertaining other women?"
Yeah.
And Lance, with a completely straight, unbothered face, basically argues that exclusive just means they are exclusively dating other people without telling each other.
I was yelling at the TV. He literally said he doesn't owe her a text if he goes out to the club for 5 hours instead of spending time with her.
Wild.
Listener, think about your own roster right now. Have you ever pulled a Lance? Have you ever sat at a dinner table, agreed to be exclusive, and in your mind thought, well, I just won't tell you about the other people?
I hope not.
Because if you agree to be exclusive, the roster is closed. You cut the bench off. You don't just put them on layaway.
Exactly. What Lance is doing is extreme compartmentalization. He wants the emotional security and the public validation of a relationship with Kiera.
Yeah, he wants the arm candy.
Right. He wants her to show up to his party looking beautiful and supporting him.
Uh-huh.
But he refuses to accept the operational restrictions that come with that title. He wants to have his cake, eat it too, and then go horseplay in the streets until he scrapes his nose. It is deeply unserious behavior.
It is exhausting. I was exhausted just watching her try to reason with a brick wall. But if we are talking about
Oh, well, I know where this is going.
If we're talking about deeply unserious behavior that defies logic, Ken and Trish take the crown. They take the entire kingdom.
Yes. Let's pivot to the delusion that is Ken and Trish's marriage.
Buckle up, babes.
The setup here is absolutely critical for you to remember because the contest makes their choices infinitely worse. Ken and Trish are currently separated. They're not cohabitating. Ken has physically moved out, signed a lease, and has his own apartment.
Yes, because things got so hostile and unmanageable they couldn't even be in the same room.
And then we get the gossip. Letitia tells Trish that Ken has been sliding into other women's DMs. And how does Trish react?
She gets defensive. She actually has the unmitigated audacity to blame social media for their marital problems.
Ah, yes. The great scapegoat of the 21st century. It's not the fact that your husband is actively digitally approaching strangers late at night. It's the app's fault for existing.
It's so delusional.
It's a profound failure of accountability on both their parts. But here is where my snark reaches critical mass. We have the consensus from the Reddit threads. The internet squad is in total unified agreement here. Ken is the absolute poster boy for fake nice guys.
He is. He plays this quiet, soft-spoken, respectful, wounded party role whenever the cameras are rolling, but he is out here operating like a menace in the digital streets.
He absolutely is. He uses his calm demeanor to mask highly calculated predatory behavior. When someone is loud and messy like Lance, you see it coming. When someone is quiet like Ken, you miss the red flags because you mistake silence for peace.
Wow, wait, say that again? You mistake silence for peace. That is a word.
It's the truth. But let's look at the timeline, because this is what truly breaks my analytical brain. You go from, I'm moving into my own apartment, we're legally separating, we're getting a divorce, to sitting on a couch 3 days later saying, let's have a baby.
I screamed at the television. I actually threw a throw pillow across my living room. You cannot be serious.
We were dead serious.
Destiny and Trish are sitting there having a seemingly normal conversation, and Trish casually drops this bomb that they are talking about having kids because Ken wants his own kids.
It connects so perfectly to our first DM submission tonight that it's scary.
It's the exact same scenario.
This is classic trapping behavior. Ken realizes that the separation means he is losing his grip on Trish. The marriage is failing, the physical distance is giving her perspective, and his control is waning. So what does a fake nice guy do?
He traps her.
He pivots to the ultimate grand gesture of permanent connection. He suggests a child. Not therapy, not couples counseling, not a weekend retreat to work on communication. A baby.
And Trish is just nodding along like it's a valid strategic business plan. I have to ask, does Trish actually believe this, or is she just playing along to keep the peace?
I think she believes it in the moment.
Because, babes, you are fighting over Instagram direct messages while living in separate zip codes. A baby does not fix an Instagram addiction. A baby does not pay the rent on the second apartment. It is pure, unfiltered delusion.
I think Trish is desperate for a quick fix. Doing the actual work to repair a shattered trust is agonizing. Having a baby feels like a reset button, even though we all know it's an accelerator for disaster.
It's a ticking time bomb.
And the enablers around them are just as bad. Which brings us to Tisha's apology tour and the completely unexpected arrival of Marcel as the voice of reason.
A glitch in the matrix. Marcel making sense. I actually had to rewind the episode, turn on the closed captions, and listen again to make sure I heard him correctly.
It was a startling, almost disorienting moment of clarity. Marcel actually steps up to his wife, Tisha, and checks her.
Which he never does.
Never. He calls her out directly for being the outside noise in Ken and Trish's marriage. He delivers this surprisingly eloquent speech about how playing with social media gossip is playing with fire and how they, of all people, given their own history, shouldn't be carrying bones between couples.
Because they have been through it, they know firsthand how toxic the rumor mill is and how it can destroy a family.
Exactly.
So for Marcel to step up and say, hey, We don't do that. We don't aim at other people's marriages. We focus on our own. I actually clapped in my living room. I gave him a standing ovation from my couch.
I will sarcastically praise Marcel for stringing together 3 logical, empathetic sentences this season. It's a new personal best for him.
Totally.
But his clarity forces Tisha into an apology tour. She realizes she has overstepped, and she sits down with Trish to explain herself.
And the apology was so questionable. It was a non-apology.
Highly questionable.
Tisha claims she wasn't trying to be messy. She says she was just trying to warn Trish, trying to protect her, so she wouldn't let Ken gaslight her. Because people are apparently saying things about Ken all over town.
Let's debate this, because this is a fascinating gray area. Was Tisha actually trying to be a protective friend, a true girl's girl, warning her about a predatory husband? Or is she just incredibly bored in her own life, highly messy, and using concern as a Trojan horse to deliver hot gossip?
I think it's 90% messy and 10% concern.
Generous.
You do not deliver that kind of devastating news casually if you are genuinely worried for your friend's mental health. If you are worried, you approach with care. Tisha did it for the reaction. She did it because she wanted the power of being the one who holds the tea.
I agree with your ratio. The delivery mechanism always reveals the true intent. If it were genuine concern, she wouldn't have framed it as a passing piece of gossip over drinks.
Right.
But honestly, Trish's reaction, or complete lack thereof, is equally baffling. She just absorbs this devastating information about her husband, instantly defends him, and then pivots right back to the baby talk. It's a closed loop of denial.
It is so heavy. Watching people actively refuse to save themselves is just so heavy. But you know what was actually heavy? In a real, grounded, non-toxic way. The emotional anchor of the episode.
Nell and Destiny.
Nell and Destiny, yes.
A stark, necessary contrast to the emoji drama and the club behavior. Let's start briefly with Destiny. She returns from Detroit after meeting her 6 younger siblings for the first time. She says her big sister energy is activated.
It was a beautiful moment. You could see she felt whole, but you could also see she was incredibly overwhelmed.
Naturally.
Stepping into that matriarchal, older sibling role as a full-grown adult, suddenly feeling responsible for guiding 6 younger lives, that is a massive identity shift. It's a beautiful burden, but it's still a burden.
It changes everything about how you move through the world.
And that feeling of being overwhelmed leads right into Nell at the dinner.
The dinner scene. Nell completely breaks down in tears, hyperventilates slightly, and has to flee the table to hide in the bathroom. Destiny follows her to comfort her.
I was a mess watching that.
In a landscape of highly produced, performative reality TV arguments, this was a very raw, unproduced moment of human fragility.
It was a rare, soft moment for me. I actually started crying watching her cry. Because, babes, you look now and you see a woman who is carrying the weight of the entire world on her shoulders. Her walls, which she keeps so incredibly high and fortified, finally just crumbled.
Let's look at the specific context of what she's carrying, because it's not just reality TV drama. It's real-life, systemic, crushing stress. Chris Fletcher, her husband, gets his real estate license revoked.
That alone is huge.
And Nell was the one who had to physically open the front door and sign the legal papers when he got served. The sheer humiliation and terror of that moment alone would break most people.
And on top of that massive financial and legal crisis, she has rebellious adult kids, like Lance acting a fool in the streets and embarrassing the family name.
And getting his face bruised.
Right. And she has 2 brand new grandbabies to worry about and help care for. And she casually mentions that she had to turn her car around on her way to Miami because her aging dad called her at 1:30 in the morning in a panic.
She is the defining example of the sandwich generation. She is caretaking upward for aging, vulnerable parents, and she is caretaking downward for adult children who absolutely refuse to launch into emotional maturity.
It's too much for one person.
All of this is happening while her partner's career and their primary source of stability implodes. The structural integrity of her life is failing, and she is literally holding up the roof with her bare hands so her family doesn't get crushed.
My heart broke for her. When she sat in that bathroom and sobbed, I just couldn't hold it anymore. I can't control it anymore. That is the sound of a woman who is fundamentally, biologically burnt out.
But she needs the self-care we were talking about at the very top of the evening.
She needs a 2-week vacation on a remote, silent retreat where absolutely no one is allowed to speak to her, look at her, or hand her a legal document.
Frankly, she needs to be put in a sensory deprivation tank for a month.
Exactly. Okay, babes, take a deep breath. Have a sip of your drink. We're moving on. Let's shift gears because we need to officially introduce segment 1, marriage, or mayhem?
This segment where we assess the structural integrity of these relationships. The overarching question is, which couples are solid?
Solid. Are we actually using that word? Is anyone solid?
I am looking at the liquid in my glass right now, and I can confidently say that this Moscato is significantly more solid than any union on this television program right now.
Facts.
There is not a single relational foundation here that wouldn't immediately fail a basic home inspection.
Literally zero. Okay, so if nobody's solid, which are crumbling?
Let's start with the most obvious hazard, Trish and Ken. Fully crumbling. They're a condemned building surrounded by caution tape.
100%.
They're living apart, actively arguing over Instagram direct messages from strangers, and trying to use a hypothetical infant as a load-bearing column. Mayhem. Absolute, unmitigated mayhem.
Total mayhem. And Lance and Kiara, are they even a couple? Do they qualify for this segment?
They are a localized disaster. They are a case study in failed communication and intentional misunderstanding.
Like, they don't even know the definition of the word exclusive.
If you have to pull out a literal dictionary at a casino-themed birthday party to debate whether or not you are allowed to sleep with other people, the relationship is already over. Mayhem.
Pure mayhem. Let's move to segment 2, accountability check. Because, babes, nobody wants to own their shit on this show.
It is a severe, widespread allergy to accountability. But let's start with the positive. Who is actually owning their actions?
I have to give it to Nell. Nell is owning her stress. She isn't pretending everything is fine anymore.
Sure.
She isn't putting on the brave face. She finally let her walls down to cry and admit to her friends that she's drowning. That takes immense courage, especially when there are cameras pointed at your face.
It's true emotional accountability.
Yeah.
And very reluctantly, I've to put Tisha in this category too.
Really? You're giving Tisha credit after we just agreed she was being messy.
Hear me out. She owned the fact that she inserted herself into someone else's marriage. Marcel checked her, and instead of entirely deflecting or screaming at him, she actually internalized it, went to Trish, and apologized.
Again?
Was the apology perfect? No. Was she still being a little messy? Yes. But the physical act of sitting down and saying, I was wrong for bringing that to you, is a baseline level of accountability we rarely see in this group.
Okay, fair. I'll give her a half point for effort. But who is deflecting? Because the list is long and distinguished.
Oh, the deflection club. Trish is the absolute president of the deflection club this week. Deflecting the cousin flirting under her fat fingers.
The fat fingers?
It is a biological and technological impossibility, as we've discussed at length. It is pure deflection to avoid admitting she crossed a weird, unspoken family boundary because she liked the attention.
And Lance. Deflecting his mom's incredibly valid concerns about his partying as just her opinion. Babes, when your mother looks at your bleeding face and tells you to go inside and take care of your kids, that is not an opinion. That is a royal edict.
And finally, Ken. Deflecting his DMs sliding as just friendly networking or acting like he doesn't even know who he's talking to online. It's the weaponized incompetence of the modern man.
Wait, explain that for the audience. What makes Ken's behavior weaponized incompetence? I love that phrase.
Weaponized incompetence is when someone pretends they don't know how to do something basic or pretends they don't understand the rules so they don't get held responsible for breaking them.
Oh, my ex used to do that.
They all do it. Ken pretends he doesn't understand that sending flirty emojis to strange women is wrong. He plays dumb. Oh, I was just networking. I didn't know she would take it that way. He weaponizes his fake ignorance to avoid accountability for his act of cheating. Deflection across the board.
It makes me so mad I could break a glass. Which brings us perfectly to segment 3, low blow alert. What moments went too far? What was the lowest of the low?
I think we are entirely on the same page here.
The tongue emoji on your cousin's picture. Full stop. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. It violates the laws of nature.
It really does.
It went entirely too far. I don't care if you are 4th cousins, 5th cousins, or play cousins from down the street. You do not drop the licky tongue.
It's the digital equivalent of a low blow. But I will add Lance's reaction to the low blow alert.
Oh, the screenshot.
Sending the screenshot of his cousin's comment to everybody, including her husband, instead of just calling her on the phone and saying, hey, delete that, it's weird.
Which would have solved everything.
That was a highly calculated strike designed to humiliate her and elevate himself in the eyes of his peers. It was a vicious low blow masked as transparency.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted the chaos. Okay, babes, we have to look ahead. Segment 4, next week, tension builder. What is about to explode?
If the teaser at the end of the episode is any indication, the financial stress that has been bubbling under the surface is about to manifest violently. We see Marceau and Chris getting into an explosive, shouting, chest-to-chest argument over Chris's revoked real estate license.
It looked so intense. They were practically spitting in each other's faces.
It's inevitable. When you mix deeply rooted male ego, massive financial instability, and profound public humiliation like losing your professional license, the resulting pressure has to go somewhere.
It's pressure cooker.
It needs an outlet. I speculate that this legal and financial stress is about to tear the men's friendships completely apart. They use business to bond. Business is their love language. And when the business fails, the bond shatters.
I am not ready. I am already stressed for Nell having to deal with the fallout of that argument, because you know it's going to land on her lap.
Oh, she'll be cleaning up the mess.
Before we wrap up, I just want you guys to think about Nell carrying the weight of her family this week. How many of us are acting as the structural load-bearing wall for people who refuse to build their own foundations? Think about who you might be enabling this week, because, babes, this show is going to put me in an early grave.
Moscato vibes fading.
Apple turnovers completely demolished.
DMs in utter chaos.
The Huntsville drama is too much. What did you think of this episode? Which couple has you stressed? And babes, have you sent us your submission yet?
Rate, review, subscribe.
Keep sending submissions. Send this to your most dramatic bestie. Thank you to the Snark Squad.
Stay shady.
Stay iconic. And we'll see you on the Snark side.